Welcome back to another episode of the EVP podcast, everybody. It's Ghosty.
And DVO with a special guest.
I'm Andy Molcock, owner of the Conjuring Tree in West Jordan.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy, for coming on today. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Conjuring Tree. When did you guys open up the shop, and what's here?
Okay, so my husband and I opened up the Conjuring Tree in 2021, just after the pandemic started to wind
Perfect
down
timing.
a little bit, right? And so we are a small metaphysical supply store out in West Jordan, and we supply basically everything you can think of. So we try to cater to every single path that is out there. Our goal is to just give you all the tools necessary for your own spiritual growth, which is awesome.
Okay, all right.
So we have books, tarot, a lot of handmade wood products, since, the Conjuring Tree.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. And then, we do a lot of our work ourselves. So we make our own candles, our own wood crafts.
Wow.
And a whole bunch of stuff.
And where did the name of the shop come from?
So, Druids, when they used to gather together, they gathered together in a grove, and there was a sacred oak tree usually, and so they would gather together to conjure at the tree.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's what we do here. We try to conjure. It does help that our main medium is wood as well. So we've done the research for probably 60 plus types of wood, and use that to work with our stuff. So it's great.
That's awesome. Right. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Like what's your specialty?
I love making the candles.
Oh,
and then I also do a lot of lathe work. And I make all the wands. So we have a bunch of different types of wands just around the shop. A couple of my favorite woods, bloodwood and like ebony. Really fun to work with. So
that sounds pretty awesome. Bloodwood sounds pretty magical.
It's pretty cool. It literally bleeds when you cut it. So.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
You mentioned wands. I did see. I noticed a little bit of a Harry Potter Hogwarts. Couple things in here.
What you'll see is there's a lot of fantasy as well. So for some people, when they get on their own path, they start with like fantasy novels. That's like kind of what leads them into this world. And so I don't care how you get on your path, whatever that takes. If it's a fantasy novel or if it's you doing your own spell work or potions or whatever it is, it's whatever.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then you're also an intuitive tarot reader.
Yeah, so as an intuitive tarot reader, I am able to look at the connections between you and everyone else. And I get to see those little threads that kind of move around. And so my tarot cards actually help me pull those little threads a little bit easier.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How did you know that was would you call it a skill?
Practice.
Okay.
So I started reading probably in 2017 after my husband Jeremy, who's the other owner of the shop, gave me a tarot reading, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
So he did a reading on you.
He did a reading on me.
When you were dating, or?
Yeah, we had just gone on a date.
Okay,
so
all right.
I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So he did like a simple 3-card reading, and I'm like, that's really neat. And so I went and bought my own tarot deck and started practicing. And then I got pretty decent as soon as we opened up the store, and I started giving a bunch of free readings because I'm like, oh, well, I got to practice if I'm going to get good at this. Yeah. And I found I became really good at it as soon as I turned my brain off.
Wow.
Okay.
So a lot of times with tarot, you have like 78 cards in your deck, and each one of those has a meaning. When you stick so close to that meaning that you forget to like look at the bigger picture, you tend to ignore the more personalized message, which is
So when you say turn off your brain, Ghosty's talked about that before in the past too, when he's trying to like tune in on things. He kind of turns off his brain. What does that mean for you? Or maybe explain that so people understand.
Well, so your brain's got this lovely thing called an ego, and that loves to take control and be like, I know what I'm talking about. And so when I say turning off my brain, it's turning off the ego portion of it and like listening to, what am I feeling? What am I seeing? What am I sensing? Instead of, what do I know about this thing? And letting my brain just kind of hone in on that particular
and you start
thing.
like, you kind of start feeling, I guess you can say, like vibes off the person.
Absolutely. Off the person. Sometimes I will see images, sometimes I will hear words, sometimes I will sense people behind them. And using my tarot cards, I use that to kind of pull out the message that needs to be
Did you feel any of this before you and Jeremy started dating?
I would say no. I grew up in the dominant religion of the state.
Okay.
So I kept myself in a nice little box. And so it wasn't until I came out of the box that it was necessary and it made sense. So.
And then you started turning your brain off, like you said, and then all of a sudden you started seeing and hearing, and that's very cool.
And what I have found, so I originally started, so one of my readers actually did a reading on me and found out that my dominant sense was touch. And so when I was touching my tarot cards, I was getting information. I was getting info from touching. And so I've kind of expanded beyond that as I've practiced. And that's what I found with most people is you can start with one thing and then you can grow outward just depending on your practice level.
Very cool. So, and if someone's in the Utah area, they could come to West Jordan and they could book a reading.
Absolutely.
With you. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, just give us a call at the shop and we all set up. And I have like 7 different readers here at the store.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Who do a wide range. So I have a pet psychic. I have someone who deals with the Akashic records, which is basically past life readings.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a human design expert. I have a rune reader. And then my husband does graphology readings.
Explain graphology. I just heard this today.
So graphology is handwriting analysis, and that is something he learned and picked up a long time ago. And he has learned to combine that with his tarot readings.
That's pretty cool.
What was that other one you mentioned before that? The
Akashic records.
No, before that one.
Human design.
Yes.
Okay.
What's that about?
Basically take human design, so it's astrology, your I Ching, and a few other things, and basically they like cram it all together, and it's like a blueprint for your body. How you deal with energy, how like your most dominant sense, your best location for like doing a whole bunch of stuff in your life. It's pretty fascinating. There's a lot to it.
I want to learn more about that. That's something that sounds fascinating.
So
I'm fascinated.
Her name is Esther Graves, and she does readings like once a week here at the shop. And so,
very cool. In the same room that we're recording in.
Yep, right here in the reader's room.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. It definitely helps you kind of understand why you do what you do. In that one in particular, it talks a lot about open channels of energies. Like if your throat chakra is kind of like blocked off, it's going to show that is closed off. Or if it's an open source of energy.
Okay. When you say it like that actually makes a little bit more sense to me.
So
okay.
Like how your energy flows through your body, and it's based on a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I knew all of it, but I do.
Yeah, those are your specialties. So they got booked to get a reading done.
So with your husband, how long has he been doing readings?
He's been doing readings for very many years.
So what got him into this?
I'm not entirely sure of his story. So that'll be another episode.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
Have a sit down with Jeremy, and he'll be able to help you out with his story.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, we'll do a Scared and Fascinated episode with him.
A part 2.
Yeah. Okay, so then how long have you been doing the readings then?
So since 2017.
Oh, 2017. Okay, got it. Okay.
Is about when I started.
All right, that's pretty.
So
pretty
tell
cool.
me more about what his readings that he does, the graphology.
So graphology it's an actual science. So learning how to tell a little bit about what your personality is and your psychology is based on your handwriting, the way you write. And he has learned to combine that with his tarot readings, which is fascinating.
Yeah, I write really weird. Can't read it sometimes.
You'll have to sit down with him sometime, and you'll see how cool it is.
Okay.
But you're sloppy.
Yeah, like you got ADD.
You live a sloppy life.
I think I have ADD.
And okay, cool. And what are some of the items in the store? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite items that you like to look at, or you show people?
Well, I of course I absolutely love my wands because
Yeah.
But then you also have like my husband makes these awesome brooms that are out there. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see those, yeah.
The hand woven brooms. So my husband makes all those, and definitely my candles. I love my candle collection. They're awesome just because it's fun to make them and smell them.
You do those here? Sorry.
Not here.
Okay.
I make them elsewhere and then bring them in because I don't have a big enough space for them yet.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so, and then, of course, all the divination tools are just awesome. So you have your tarot, your oracle, we have our runes, you have divining rods, pendulums. So, like, you have all of these different divining tools.
Would you say most of your clientele that come in, what are they looking for anything particular, or are they very curious?
I will say we have a very wide range of clients.
Okay, so it's not like a very common thing. It's everything.
It's a little bit of everything. It just really depends on the individual who's coming in. But we have a lot of new people who are just like starting on their own spiritual journey. We have a lot of people who are like years of experience. So
like just looking at the books, they have some books that are for like starting, and then you have like your alchemy books down there.
A wide range of books. I have books on pretty much every subject you can think of, and of course, I'm always willing to get them in if, like, you're like, oh, you don't have a book on the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. I need it, so we'll order that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Let me summon that for you.
Without saying names,
yeah.
Do you maybe have like an interesting story you'd like to share where you helped somebody that came in and?
It's one of my favorite things to do so when people will come in, they will. A lot of times I will get promptings or impressions, and so I'll usually ask them, hey, can we have a chat about what I'm feeling? And usually it's to find a specific product or a specific item, but one of my favorite things to do is when people come in looking to craft their own spells. One of my favorite things is to help them with their herbs, figure out which herbs to like throw into that spell or what stones to throw in that spell, and it's really fun because it's a very intuitive process.
How did you learn about that?
Research and reading books.
So you just like looked up what every item is and what attributes or...
But what I've also found is it's kind of interesting is you open yourself up and I will like pick out an herb and I'm like, I'm not entirely sure why I'm picking out this herb.
It's speaking to you, right?
But I'm going to grab it and then I'll do a little bit more research on it and I'll be like, oh, that's why I picked it out. Or I'll get a little bit more information about the situation that's going on with this individual and be like, oh, that's why I'm tugging on this. But that's one of my favorite things to do.
Now, when you say spell, I'm thinking witchcraft all of a sudden,
that's
right?
Very much a witchcraft.
Is there anything like, or is there like a common... Like they're looking for love, they're looking for riches. Is there any, or is there just a bunch?
There's a wide range. Okay, of spells.
So there's a lot.
But yes, protection, luck, money, love is definitely one that is a very common thing.
Leviosa.
That a lot of people are looking for when they come in.
Okay, that makes sense. You did mention you have someone, you have a reader that looks at past lives.
Yes.
Personally, asking you, do you believe in past lives?
I don't know if I need to know about past lives.
Okay.
I don't think that's something that is something I need to know about. But for some people, it's really helpful. So I've noticed a lot of times in a past life reading, they will go through like some of the traumas. And that's usually to help, okay, why do I react the way I do based on what happened to me in the past?
Yeah.
And that kind of helps them like work through that a little bit better. Some people just want to know, who was I in the past life? And so I will say, I think we do have multiple reincarnations of our energy, not necessarily into like similar bodies, because you could totally have been a female or a male. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you could do. And so I think for a past life, I think it really depends. Do you need to know that?
Okay, that's interesting.
Or is it just for fun?
Yeah, because I'm always on the fence. Like, do I believe in past lives? Do I believe you go somewhere, or you have the choice, or do you just walk along planes? Like, I'm always just so curious.
One of my readers talked about how before we come here, we decide what we're going to do for this meat suit.
Okay.
We decide what lessons we're going to learn. We decide what people we're going to be around before we come down, because we're trying to get a higher energy level. And so you come down to learn those lessons so that when you leave, you have a better energy.
That's interesting. That is pretty interesting.
That's kind of what I've been under that belief too.
Okay. Now, how about during your readings, have you had any pretty emotional situations that you just kind of elated after it was over?
Just one of my favorite things to do is if I can connect to someone and help them work through an issue. But if I can make them cry, it makes me happy.
Yeah, you know you did your job.
I know I did my job. But my goal is really to help the current situation. So, like, as a reader, my goal is not future.
Right.
It's never...
That's what people think, too. You think about tarot cards, they think you're going to predict their future and pull out a crystal ball or something, but that's not what it takes.
You can't.
That's not what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
I work through, okay, you're going through this problem with your work. Let's see how we can pull all those nuances and work through that situation so it becomes better for you.
Yeah.
And then I never guarantee where it's going to land. Because you have this thing called choice. It kind of makes it more difficult to be like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that's kind of how I work.
And you said you found out like a touch is a big thing for you.
Really
is it just the cards, or even do you try to touch the person if they allow you?
People or
and you
objects, and I can pick up stuff, but cards are easier for me.
Oh, okay.
Because, well, for tarot, because there is like a meaning to each particular card.
Yeah.
Being able to touch that card, I will get an aspect of that card, which is really helpful.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And that kind of helps me understand the person that's sitting in front of me a little bit better. Oh, I'm picking up the Queen of Swords. What aspect of this queen are we trying to pull in?
Okay.
Which is fascinating.
So when you got into it, you had how much was in the deck of cards?
There are 78 cards.
So you had like to research every card too, right? Yeah.
But as you get going, you kind of learn as you go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You read up on it
you do a poll, and you're like, okay, this is what these particular cards mean, and what you'll find is in the tarot, you have two separate sections. You have the major arcana and the minor arcana, and the major arcana is almost like a story. So you start with the Fool. It's the story of the Fool. So it's the Fool's journey through life, and you start there, and it goes through a cycle. And then you have the minor arcana, which is based off of like a 15th century game. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay.
But yes, you have to learn aspects of every one of those cards. And what I have found is sometimes those cards don't always say what you think. Like you'll be like, okay, this card is coming out. Normally it means this, but the feeling I'm getting off of this card is way different than. But it seems to match the reading that I'm giving to someone else. Okay. So I kind of just go with the flow because that's what's important.
Exactly.
Again, the goal is to help the person who's sitting in front of me.
Did you tell you what they're looking for, or
a lot of times they do. Sometimes people don't.
Okay, all right.
Some of my more favorite readings are when their spirit guides or their family members will come through and they will give a message, usually through the cards, of like, okay, this is what we need to talk about. It's kind of fun.
Do you ever get a picture of them in your head?
So for me, like when I'm connecting to people on the other side, it is very much, I can tell either if it's like a spirit guide or a family member. I can tell personality, and I can usually tell gender or like masculine or feminine energy, because that doesn't always like come through properly. I'm not really good with like hearing names or knowing, oh, this was your great grandma 3 times removed, and that's who we're talking about. But no,
you can just tell if it's a family.
I can usually tell what line it's on. Is it your mom's side? Is it your dad's side?
Oh wow!
But it's kind of fascinating.
That's pretty awesome that you can even pick up that much of it, though.
It's a skill.
Yeah, and I'm sure being around in the store, you get to hone in on that quite a bit.
I get to practice a lot, which is great.
Oh, it's our friend Peaches.
Sorry, that was my phone making the
you guys were talking. So I was messaging, hey, we got a chair for you. Come on inside.
I messed things up. I'm sorry.
Oh, how dare you.
What were you guys just mentioning?
Talking about names. Of
being able to pick
Oh,
yes, that's right. Okay.
Some sort of mediumship work.
Okay.
It's something I'm picking up and something I'm working on, but I'm not perfect at it.
but it's still a skill. You're still getting better at it.
Absolutely. I don't think there's ever like a limit as to what you can do. It's just, what do I choose to practice or what do I choose to work on?
That's pretty neat.
which I like.
That is pretty neat. So have you done like a reading with all of your readers?
Yes, actually I have. I'm
Okay.
like, wait. Yeah, I have. I've done a reading with all of my readers.
That's good.
which I have-
It's gonna get like different perspectives and
Each reader has a different way of doing
Yeah.
things. And it's fascinating to see how each of them kind of connect to, I will say, the energy outside of us.
Would you say the one what was that one called again? The body design.
The human design.
Human design. How did you feel about that reading for yourself?
I thought it was fun. That's how I learned about my touch sensitivity.
So you picked up on some of your own skills
and it made a lot of sense to me, and so I practiced with it. I'm like, okay. So when I give a reading to someone, what I usually do is I usually tell them, hey, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I'm not perfect, but I'm going to tell you what I'm feeling and see what we can do, but definitely use your brain. Don't always latch completely onto what your reader's saying. Use your own intuition, your own sense, your own judgment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the advice.
That's probably good advice, not just for you as a reader, but like anytime they get a rating.
Absolutely, because you will know yourself a little bit better. The idea of a reading is to help you kind of like grow. And if you're just like, oh no, they said to do this.
They said these are my lotto numbers right here.
Exactly. I think if that was truly the case, if for a reader, then every reader would be filthy rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you just a random question. Do you believe in psychics in the sense of they can predict the future?
I'm sure some can.
Okay.
I definitely will get a sense for myself that there are certain events that are pretty certain.
Okay.
And I can't really explain how or why that is.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you'll get a feeling like this is going to happen. I don't know why.
Well, what's your guess?
So like I said, I do think some readers have that gift or ability.
Yeah.
As far as me,
Right.
I very rarely will I have like 100% certainty.
Sure. If you feel something, because that feeling that you're talking about, where you think that this will happen, might be our spirit guides possibly. Just kind of whispering in our ears in a way.
Spirit guides, it could be your family members. It could be, but it also could be situational. Like, oh, I can see this relationship dying. Like, I know these people are not going to be together in 6 months. That could be either psychic or this could be something else. It could be just, oh, I know enough about the situation to be like, no, this ain't gonna last. Or it could be reading into the lines. And so occasionally I do see certain events, but I will also say I never claim to be certain.
Sure. I was wondering too. I was wondering like the idea of psychics. Like, can they really predict the future? Or is that, I understand some of it's very gimmicky, right? Just to get people to come in and do a reading and say what sounds good or.
Oh, people don't come to me for fluffy truth.
Right, that's good.
I will tell you exactly what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. I just, again, my goal is to let's work through the issues. Let's work through the problems that you're currently going through, because that is going to help you more now than just knowing, oh, this is where your future's going to be.
And I think that's the right approach to it. Is not, don't try to get your future told to. Be like, seek help basically, or guidance maybe.
Guidance.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
And it's a good idea, like what you're doing, to like pick a subject, that instead of just being like so open ended, like choose a piece of my life.
I will absolutely say that is one of the things that I would love when people come in with very specific questions, because they're like, hey, I'm having this problem, and I'm like, okay, let's do this, let's make it happen. So for me, I love when people come in with questions. I can do open-ended, it's not a problem. And we'll probably pull. What I have found is when I do those types of readings, and just tell me what my future's holding or what's coming up next, we'll get 3/4 of the way through a reading, and they'll be like, oh, I have another question.
Okay.
And I'm like, couldn't have come up with this before. And it would be wonderful and nice, but yeah. It would be.
You also mentioned runes.
Runes, yes.
Yeah, runes. I have something in my mind when I think of that.
So runes
that.
are tiles
Okay.
Usually made out of wood, metal, or bone. And they follow the Nordic or the Norse or Germanic form of divination.
Okay.
So each tile has a rune engraved or carved into it. The way they fall into when they get dropped onto a cloth tells a story about what's going on. Each reader so I've had a couple of rune readings done.
Yeah.
Each reader does them very, very differently, and so I do find that the runes are definitely more of a primal or internal reading, which is
interesting,
fascinating.
Brandy, you want to come in and say something?
That's what I do. I'm Nordic, Celtic, all Norse, everything, because my ancestors came from the Isle of Man, so I'm Viking, so I have pagan roots. All the way back.
Yeah, because when I think of runes, I think like that Viking riding, you know, that's exactly
what it is. So
okay.
There are 25? 24, and then a blank.
And then,
Yeah, okay. I'm like, wait, no, there's 25 tiles. There's a blank rune. But yeah, so...
That's the house's odds. There's always a zero.
Like your own personal symbol that you make for yourself, or like your family symbol, things like that.
But the reader I have, his name is Ken Edwards, and he's known as the Rune Walker.
It's a pretty cool name.
And so he's fascinating. He's got tattoos all over him, and he's got the runes tattooed all over him.
Oh, wow.
I'll have to show you a picture when we hop out. But yeah, absolutely fascinating to sit down with Ken and watch him work.
Very, very fascinating.
I want to get all these kinds of readings.
I know. You bring your dog in too. Get a pet psychic reading.
Yeah, see why he's such a weirdo.
Our pet psychic is amazing. Her name's Jennifer Martin, and she is just wonderful. She can talk about like the unmet needs of your pet.
Okay.
Or communicate with pets who have crossed the Rainbow Bridge.
Oh.
And just.
Do you have pets?
I do. I have.
Did you bring them in to?
I know my husband has gotten a reading for our dog.
Okay. All right. Did
the dog tell on you?
She's just a fat lump and she loves her treats. So. But yeah, it's fascinating. So if you have like a dog who has like some behavior issues, she can help uncover some of those.
That's pretty interesting.
Issues.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah, right.
And then I have a psychic medium. His name's Remy, and Remy his whole purpose is to connect with those on the other side. So that's what he works with.
Yeah.
So when people come in and like, hey, I want to get a reading, I'll say, okay, well, what type of reading do you work with?
You have to put on a menu, right? So here's our menu.
Here's our menu.
What are you
There's
looking
the
for?
different types of readers we have. If you look at the back behind our counter up front, you will see like all the pictures of all of our readers.
Oh, okay. See, when you say like that psychic, when they talk about the ones that have passed, that's really what I think about when I think psychics. But I think some people think, it's the future.
Mediumship is what that is. So learning how to communicate with the dead. Or with your spirit guides. Literally communicating with those on the other side, which is a fascinating skill.
It is.
I mean, I love being able to sense and feel when they're around, but I don't know if I want the conversation.
You have to ask Brandy about that. Tell what she thinks about it.
It's just, I hear double the sound because I hear alive and dead all the time. I can't shut it off. I haven't found my niche to mute it. So everything's double, the population, the sound, everything's so loud to me. So when I'm at home and it's my safe space because I put a binding on my home, it's the only time it's ever quiet. And then my husband and my dog are home, and then it's still not quiet.
And grandkids.
Grandkids, yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Well, Andy, you've got a very interesting store. I love it. So many cool items in here.
There's so much.
Even if you're just not even like exploring a certain pathway, even if you're just like interested in like stones, you want like an interesting stone or crystal, you've got great items here to choose from.
Even if you want just some kitschy decor.
Yeah. You've got some great decor.
I don't know if you saw those cutting boards out there, but they make
I did,
those
right
are
here.
Cool.
Yes. I saw your bottle openers. Those are cool.
Yep, those are...
The flaccid bottle openers.
I thought it was a corn dog. Wooden corn dogs.
Yep, we have a lot of that kind of fun stuff just floating around the store.
Yeah, alligator heads.
Yeah, so curiosities. So we have a lot of different.
Oh, curiosity. That's a great way to say it.
Yeah, like we used to have some sharks. Those all sold last week.
I saw the thing up there. Talk about a shark. I'm like, there's a shark that's not here.
Yep, we sold all of them this last weekend. So
everyone wanted sharks.
But like wet specimens and bones, and because people use all sorts of items in their own personal craft, which is fascinating, and so I don't know, we want to provide it.
So I'm very curious what you and Jeremy's house is like. Is it a lot of curiosities there?
We do have like our deer heads and stuff floating around. But honestly, you're not going to see it. Like, it's not, like, super crazy. We do have a ritual circle in our backyard.
Okay.
That we have made. It's like a wood hinge.
Oh, no.
And then we have...
It's a what?
A wood hinge.
What's that?
I think like a stone hinge.
Yeah.
It's made out of wood.
And it's in your backyard?
It's in our backyard.
Okay.
Yeah, we put that together.
Can I ask what you do with that?
We do our rituals. So, moon rituals or...
Oh, okay.
Celebrations of different holidays. And that's where we spend our time for those.
Okay.
And then we also build...
That's their Conjuring Tree.
It's our Conjuring Tree.
Yeah.
And so we also we built a witch house, is what we call it. So
it's outside or...
It's outside.
Okay.
So it's like a separate little shed that we turned into like our crafting room. And so that's where I do like my spell jars and...
You do your spells and your witching.
I do my witching there.
That's what I want. I want like, instead of like a she shed, I want like a...
I was about to say, I was trying to think of a name, but I couldn't think of one for a witch house.
That's what we did. We turned a shed.
My pagan palace, whatever you want.
Hey, that's a good one.
Absolutely, we did that. We turned it right into our little crafting center.
Like a bitch and witch pad.
Do you have a name for it? Yeah, I was asking you if you have a name for it.
We just call it our witch cottage.
Okay. Oh, witch cottage, okay.
Because it's very tutory, and so we're like, you could totally see like a little witch living in that area. So.
Live in your little witch.
If there was a bathroom, right?
No, that's what outside's for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of interesting items here, and if people are curious about getting on their path, whatever they're feeling, there's a good place to get started. Where a lot of different items to look into and get started with their own path. It's Conjuring Tree in West Jordan, Utah. That's where I sourced at. Can people even go online? Do you have like a website where people order?
So just go to theconjuringtree.com. You're going to learn a lot about what we do here. Every Thursday we host something free, which is kind of fun.
Oh.
So it's either our Tea and Tarot Thursdays, which is a chance for people who are just learning their own like divination or craft like that, whether it's oracle, runes, tarot, pendulums, whatever it is. It's a chance to come and exchange a reading with another reader. And so that's a fun free event. You get to meet people in the community, and then you also get a chance to just share a reading with another person who's
that's pretty neat.
And then the opposite weeks we do what we call crafting your path classes. So think of it like a 45-minute class on something witchy.
Okay.
So, for instance, this week we have a class called What is Litha? So, Litha is the midsummer pagan holiday. It's also the summer solstice. So, we're going to go over a bunch
time of year.
Yeah, it's that time of year. So, we're going to go over a bunch of like the history of what that is and how to celebrate it. But it's a chance for you to just kind of learn something witchy. So we have, over the next little bit, we have Queering Your Craft next in 2 weeks after that because it is June.
Nice.
And then we're going to have a class on wands. And then I'll be teaching a class on tarot. So like how to use a wand or how to make a wand. And then for me, it'll be tarot on the basics of where it came from and how to basically do a small reading for yourself. So again, those are free classes, and you can find all that information on our website.
And are you going to teach that one with the wands?
My husband's going to teach the wand.
Okay.
I'm going to be teaching the one on tarot.
And you I assume you have your own wand at home.
I do.
How did you choose that?
So my husband and I, actually, if you go on our website, we did all the research for all these woods based on the location, the lore, a little bit of like mythology about each wood. Okay. And we kind of compiled that into a database, and you can actually go and search for your own wood online. You can do like a quiz, or you can do like an advanced search and kind of figure that out. But for us, for me, my particular wood is bloodwood. Okay. We call it the root, so it's really good for like your lower chakras and just keeping yourself grounded.
That's pretty
like Harry
cool.
Potter, but for witches.
But for
Yeah.
actual wood.
Yeah. Not you mug butts out there.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in
So
coming to that
definitely
class.
go on and look on it, but we definitely want to be able to like share that with people, which is fascinating. So we love what we do.
That's pretty
cool.
badass.
that is pretty awesome. Other questions that you have, or Brandy, any other questions we can ask Andy while we're here?
I know. I come down here. I live right down the street.
She's here all the time.
Well, if we think of any others, we can do it on part 2.
I was going to say, you got to do a part 2
Yes.
with Jeremy. You got to get his
And after we take some of
story.
the classes.
Yeah.
'Cause I definitely am very interested in the
And
wand
reveal
one.
what you learn and what you are. Like if you discover what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, maybe do one of the readings.
Would they allow us to record?
I'm not sure. I think
Okay.
you would have to ask the reader.
Okay. Okay.
Or you could get it and then like come on the show and be like, hey, this is what happened.
yeah.
This is what
Uh-huh.
I found out about myself.
Yeah.
True.
So I definitely think that there are some that would probably say, that's no problem. But yeah, I think that's up to the reader.
Very cool. And anything else? You have your website, social media, Conjuring Tree, and everything?
Yep, at the Conjuring Tree for Instagram.
At the
and
Conjuring
Facebook.
Tree, okay.
Yep, and you'll find us, and that's where you'll get all the information about what we do. We send out a newsletter once a month with something witchy in it, and as well as all the events that we're doing for that month.
Very cool.
Our rune reader's getting ready to start teaching some classes on how to read runes at the end of July, so that'll be a fun series of courses. So
wow, you have a lot of fun stuff coming up.
we do have
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here at the
a lot
store.
of really
Yeah.
fun stuff. We love what we do, and yeah, just if you're looking to start your own path, come on by and see us, because we'll point you in the right direction. I think one of our philosophies is it's never our job to tell you what to believe, but you tell us and we'll give you the tools.
Makes sense.
Do you guys have a social media on Instagram?
Yep,
Yeah,
Instagram.
at the Conjuring Tree.
At the Conjuring, okay, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, guys, go follow them. Follow us. Don't forget to follow us. But if you have any questions for them for part 2, shoot us a question at evp.pod@gmail.com or on social media.
Right.
And then we can ask that on part 2 and ask us any other questions and share ghost stories with us, of course. But anything else?
No, thanks. Thanks for
All right.
everyone tuning in.
Ghosts, you don't play that.
Bye.